Poole is a beautiful place. That's what they say in the adverts, and in truth, it's a strange collection of buildings, but set in a landscape that's hard to beat. More than 400 years ago, the locals were already saying that Poole had once been a poor fishing village, but now was a place of business. Today, it's a place of bigness. A confident place, a place with a long history. Not at all like neighbouring Bournemouth, that has virtually no history at all. As you might expect, part of Poole's identity stems from having the second largest natural harbour in the world. Fishermen have used it for thousands of years, and the Romans valued it as a vital stepping stone in their invasion of Britain. The county of the town of Poole, as it was called, was often prosperous when other places were declining. Fishing, shipbuilding, trade in beer made from Dorset grain, and trade across the Atlantic with Newfoundland. It's hard to believe now that Poole was once much more prosperous than either Bristol or Southampton. How prosperous? Well, look at the scale of the Guildhall. The old town of Poole is full of narrow streets, tiny alleys, and buildings from the time of Poole's growing prosperity. Poole's darkest days were in the 19th century. The Industrial Revolution hardly made an impact, though there was always hemp to be made into ship's rope, Purbeck clay for bricks and pipes, and timber for the burgeoning Bournemouth. Indeed, after the Second World War, there was a cunning plan that Poole should be taken over by Bournemouth. That was rejected, and Poole's independent residents, all 136,000 of them, live now with new roads, good shopping, one of the largest arts complexes in Britain, and with Brownsea Island as a shrine to the Scout movement. From the quay, you can wander until suddenly you come across another shrine, the parish church of St. James. There's been a place of worship here for 800 years. The old church was demolished in 1819, partly because of a rather nasty smell coming up through the floorboards. It turned out to be from rotting coffins that dated back to the time of the Black Death. The new church cost nearly £12,000 and was opened in 1821. About 5,000 people came for the ceremony, and 300 sat down for breakfast.
Welcome to the parish church of Poole. Every year lots of visitors come and find this a place of beauty, history and peace. But come in, have a look around yourselves.
It's a large church. It's quite definitely a holy place, a place of prayer. It speaks of the God who is mysterious, beyond, and yet also within. And it's also a warm, friendly place. Maybe when you first look around, you'll notice immediately the pine pillars in groups of 4 supporting the vaulted roof. They're very unusual. The pillars help to warm the atmosphere and give the church a slightly nautical feel. And in fact, the pillars came from Newfoundland aboard Poole's sailing ships. Straight in front of you is the east window. It was presented in 1897 in thanksgiving for the long reign of Queen Victoria. It shows Jesus with his followers in scenes from the Sea of Galilee. Below the window is a large wooden panel. It's called a reredos. Made of mahogany, it came from the old church and was a gift from a wealthy merchant in 1736. On the panel you can read the Lord's Prayer, the 10 Commandments, and the Creed, the statement of Christian belief. It's a very unusual piece of church furniture. There are only 2 others in the whole country, and they're in churches in the City of London designed by Sir Christopher Wren, the architect of St. Paul's Cathedral. On the 2 faces of the gallery, right and left, there are some colourful shields. On the left, nearest the lectern, is the Shield of Poole. The town was a starting point for a pilgrimage to Spain, and the town of Santiago de Compostela, where the remains of St. James were traditionally believed to be buried. The sign of the pilgrims was 3 scallop shells, and so many pilgrims arrived in Poole to catch a boat across the channel to northwest Spain that the town adopted the scallop shells into its coat of arms. The dolphin, a powerful symbol of the sea, represents the fishing industry and the marine world. The other shields around the gallery of St Paul and the province of Canterbury on the north side. On the south side are the shields of England, St James and the Salisbury diocese, of which this church is part. You'll notice the flags. The Union Jack is one that was flown over Paris after the city was liberated from the Germans in 1944. The American flag, the Stars and Stripes, was presented by members of the United States Navy, who were stationed in Poole during the Second World War. The flags of the Fire Service and the Royal British Legion are also from the same period. The flag of the Royal National Lifeboat Institution commemorates the moving of their headquarters to Poole. The flag of Newfoundland and Labrador marks many centuries of close links with the eastern coast of Canada. More recently, the flags of the Burma Star Association and Royal Naval Association have been introduced and displayed in the church. On the right-hand south side, in the corner at the back of the organ, is a rare object. It's a small portable font from the 18th century. Have a close look at it. There aren't any others like it. At baptisms or christenings, it's moved out into the middle of the church. Then water from it is poured as a sign that God washes away the sins and wrongdoings of the new Christian and welcomes them into the worldwide Christian faith. Just by the font are 3 windows. 2 of them have a flavour of the sea. In one of them, Jesus Christ is seen with Poole Quay in the background. Also, just by the font is the organ. It's a good instrument and was originally yet another gift from a Poole man who made his fortune in the fish trade at the end of the 18th century. Have a wander round. Sit down for a bit of peace and quiet, or kneel on the work of many in St James' congregation. Say a prayer for those who worship in St James today. As you go out, you'll pass under a peal of 10 bells. 8 of them were cast in 1821, and 2 were added to celebrate the coronation in 1937 of the late King George VI and Queen Elizabeth. The bells do what they're supposed to do. Call people to worship God.
Well, that's a brief look at our marvellous heritage. But it's more than a place of history and beauty. It's a place where people can find peace, and they come for worship and prayer and meet with the Lord Jesus Christ, who could be our friend and companion in daily life. I hope that might be your experience. Thank you for sharing with us, and may God bless you as you go on your journey.